Erdogan of Turkey has made an irreparable mistake. His future is now bleak, and Russia, a Turkey ally, is ready for any development. So Erdogan is now alone. Alexander Dugin reports, after the arrest of Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, who wanted to enter the election race against Erdogan, serious riots broke out and continue to escalate in Turkey because they're now arresting even journalists and imprisoning them. The crisis is worsening. However, in order to properly analyze the situation, many factors must be taken into account. First, the mayor of Istanbul, like the mayor of Ankara, belongs to Erdogan's liberal opposition. This is the Republican People's Party, CHP, which represents a left liberal, secular, and generally pro-European alternative to Erdogan's party, the AKP, Justice and Development Party. This opposition is, in principle, oriented towards the West and opposes the Islamic orientation of Erdogan's policy. At the same time, it maintains a rather hostile attitude towards Russia. And secondly, Erdogan himself has recently made several serious political mistakes. The most important of these is his support for the seizure of power in Damascus, Syria, by al-Yulani's fighters. This is a fatal mistake because with his move, Erdogan has dealt a serious, perhaps irreparable blow to the Turkish-Russian and Turkish-Iranian relations. Now, neither Russia nor Iran will come to his help. The situation has already turned against him, and the crisis may escalate further. And the writer says, I do not believe that Iran or Russia are in any way involved in the unrest in Turkey. It's more likely that the West is trying to overthrow Erdogan now. However, his mistake on Syria is fundamental. Many within Turkey not only did not understand this, but also condemned this policy of Erdogan, which, as we now see, led to the genocide of the Alawites and other ethno-religious minorities, including Christians. So in essence, only an extremely short-sighted politician could hand over power in Syria to al-Qaeda. And although Erdogan has generally been considered a long-term politician, this mistake, in my opinion, will come back to haunt him many times. Another aspect of his economic policy, the devaluation of the Turkish lira, the unstable inflation, all of this undermines the already unstable Turkish economy. And of course, these failures, both in Syria and in the economy, together with Erdogan's rapprochement with the European Union, with the globalizing forces and his contact with the head of MI6, Richard Moore, push Erdogan into a trap. As a result, the liberal but also Kemalist and therefore nationalist opposition within Turkey has seized the opportunity to exploit his failures. Their argument is, we warned you that would happen. What happened in Syria would be a Pyrrhic victory. The economy is collapsing, and we have a stronger Western-oriented stance than Erdogan, under whom Turkey will never be accepted into Europe. And because Turkey has a functioning democracy, Erdogan could not prevent the population of Istanbul and Ankara from voting for opposition leaders in municipal elections. Ultimately, Erdogan decided to imprison the mayor of Istanbul. The question of whether it was justified or not is almost irrelevant. In any modern political regime, it's always possible to find reasons to imprison any official. In modern politics, there are no innocent people. Turkey is no exception. Therefore, the issue is purely one of political expediency. Erdogan decided that things were going badly for him and that he needed to imprison his most active opponent, Ekrem İmamoğlu. However, İmamoğlu is a Soros-linked figure supported by globalist networks, and Erdogan could only be supported in this move if he himself had taken a tough stance against his faction. However, as already mentioned, Erdogan had already stabbed his allies, Iran and Russia, in the back, so to speak. Therefore, we cannot support him in the current situation. This is a very bad situation for Erdogan. All his opponents, taking advantage of his accumulated failures, have rebelled, a genuine color revolution, quote-unquote, and those conservative, even military Kemalists within European orientation, whom Erdogan had accused of the fabricated Erdogan affair, and who in reality had saved him many times, especially during the 2016 coup attempt, will no longer come to his rescue. In essence, Erdogan has been left without friends, having betrayed repeatedly all. I believe that his situation is hopeless. At the same time, we ourselves must be especially careful with the unfolding demonstrations, since behind them there are the same organizers as in the most color revolutions, including the one currently underway in Serbia. However, the global political forces involved in the demonstrations are a minority. The majority consists of ordinary people expressing genuine dissatisfaction with the political excesses of the leadership, and therefore there are also objective reasons for what is happening. It seems that Erdogan has simply exhausted his margin for error, and yet he continues to make mistakes. It's difficult to say what could correct the situation. Perhaps a government of national unity of the Kemalist nature will emerge, with the participation of moderate Islamists such as members of Erdogan's own party. In this context, the question arises, what's happening to Devlet Bahçeli, the author of the nationalist movement MHP and Erdogan's main ally? There are even rumors circulating that he's dead, which the authorities are allegedly hiding. I believe these are just conspiracy theories, but he's indeed aged and weakened. Erdogan can no longer rely on him, nor on the grey wolves, once powerful and dangerous Turkish radical nationalists. So I repeat, the future of Erdogan and his regime looks very bleak. Of course, we would prefer to have a sovereign Turkey with an independent foreign policy as a neighbor to Europe, preferably a friendly one, although we are prepared even if it becomes hostile. Russia is ready for any development, they say. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.